COVID restrictions in WA have been extended until January the 4th, so for another week, amid concerns coronavirus could be spreading in the community. The state recorded one new local case linked to the current backpacker cluster, and hundreds of close contacts have been identified. Reporter Keen Burke is in Perth and joins us now. Keen, g'day. So what does this extension mean for WA residents?
Really, it's an extension of the same restrictions we've been living under for a number of days now. The biggest one is that masks will continue to be required in public indoor venues. Food and drink will only be served to people while they're seated at licensed venues. Music festivals and large events will continue to be cancelled, and nightclubs will be closed until at least January the 4th. The one exception to that, though, the government announced today, will be the Perth Cup, which runs at Ascot Racecourse on New Year's Day. That will be the first event here in WA where people will be required to show proof of vaccination to enter. They'll also then have to wear a mask regardless of where they are at that event, whether they're indoors or outdoors. The Premier explaining that the nature of that event and the fact that much of it will take place outside justifies its exception from these requirements. The app that the WA government will be using to show proof of vaccination isn't ready for that event yet. The Premier saying that there could be some issues, there could be some teething problems on the day, and asking people for their patience with that. But of course, the big consequence of all of this is that New Year's celebrations will be changed for a number of people. Family celebrations will still be able to go ahead. Some outdoor events will be able to go ahead, although the Premier is recommending that people wear masks for that. But for young people who might have been hoping to go to a music festival or a nightclub to ring in the new year, that won't be going ahead anymore. Here's a bit of what Mark McGowan had to say about that.
I acknowledge the extension of these public health measures will be disappointing for some, given we are heading into New Year's. But we haven't made this decision lightly. The rules are reasonable and mean thousands of Western Australians will still be able to enjoy New Year's Eve celebrations with family and friends, but they will be able to celebrate safely.
And what are authorities there in WA most concerned about at the moment?
Really, the core of their concerns come down to testing numbers. About 29,000 people have been tested over the last 4 days, but there are only 3,000 tests on Christmas Day and about 4,700 yesterday. And really the concern is that that isn't enough to give authorities a full picture of this current outbreak. Of particular concern is that 86 close contacts of confirmed cases haven't yet been tested, and in particular 39 people who attended an event at the Mess Hall here in Perth, which is really at the centre of the outbreak. It's where many of the current cases became infected. 39 people from that event have not yet been tested. Authorities are very concerned that they may well have the virus and may be out in the community spreading it to people undetected. So that's really why these restrictions have been extended for another week, just to try and give the government a bit more time to track down those people, to get them tested and to get a complete picture of the current outbreak. The Premier saying that some of the exposure sites that are part of this outbreak, you would expect to see more cases. There's nightclubs, there's a lot of venues like that, and so there are concerns that the current number of cases, we're sitting at 9 people who have been infected from that backpacker, isn't fully accurate, and that there are other cases in the community. So the hope is that over the next week we'll get a bit more information about that, and then that will inform the path forward towards the border reopening date, which the Premier says is basically still locked in for February 5th. Joe?
Okay, Keen Burke there in Perth.